It's largely back to normal in the South African classroom. Full-time learning is back at all types of schools as the government's new COVID-19 rules say pupils are no longer needed to keep their distance. Our reporters have packed their lunchboxes this morning to see how schools are coping. We've got Dason Tatia in Durban and Monique Mortlock in Cape Town. They join us live now. Let me start with you, Monique. I bumped into a teacher this morning from Harold Cressy, which is just around the corner from our studio, and he was bracing himself. He says teachers are bracing themselves for the return of pupils. So is it going smoothly so far where you are?
At some schools that we've been visiting, it's been a bit chaotic, a bit crazy, but this is to be expected mainly from the children's point of view because some of the kids are apprehensive, anxious, and also very eager to just see their friends. And it's for this reason that there was a bit of a long queue at some schools. Other schools that we passed, we saw long queues of cars trying to just make their way into the school premises and drop their children. But from what I've heard so far is that the teachers and the schools themselves are handling it well. They're still ensuring that those COVID-19 safety protocols are in place. I'm here at Lavana Primary School where I'm speaking to Principal Shamika Charity. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. When we arrived here, we saw you up and down, busy with parents. Thank you very much for taking the time out to chat to us. How has it been going so far? How was this morning in getting the kids to settle down and getting them into their classrooms?
So in terms of our kids returning, we had all our TAs and our GAs that they were all on duty, teachers were on duty, so that went quite smoothly. Children came from 10 past 7 already. Yeah, my guys they were just great. The little ones, you know, when they started off, I'm speaking about our grade R's and our ones. They don't know big classes, so it was quite chaotic with regards to them. They were fearful. They didn't want to enter, and some of my challenged learners, they also didn't want to enter because they are now not anymore, you know, comfortable with big classes. But they are all in, and they are working. Teachers are on board, they're working, and we're just happy to have all our kids back.
I'm glad you made that point because my colleague Dason mentioned it earlier this morning also about the fact that your grade 1s, your grade 2s, your grade 3s this year also, all they know is the rotational schedule. All they know is not having a partner sitting behind me. There's usually an open desk next to me or behind me. What type of adjustment do you think this is going to be also for the teachers of these children who've become accustomed to it over the last 2 years?
Well, in terms of our grade 3s, when I popped in there, they were quite comfortable by the time, so I am honestly not sure what our teachers did. But we had a meeting on Thursday, a teachers meeting, and all our teachers are really excited to have our kids back. We are just wanting to deliver a quality education to each child. And in order for us to do that, to accomplish that, we need all our kids back. So, yeah, Monique, for us, it's just today, from today onwards, it's just teaching and teaching and teaching. Yeah.
Full steam ahead, you say.
Full steam.
And my final question to you, have you heard any concerns from parents at all? Any anxiety maybe about having their children in these fuller classrooms? Is there any issues at your school of overcrowding? We know that this is something that Minister Motshekga spoke about yesterday, about the fact that issues of overcrowding have been a problem even long before COVID.
So in an area like ours, I think our parents they had it with their kids at home because we're feeding we have been feeding throughout, and we get our children that's at home to come feed. And those parents were already asking when is school going to reopen for everybody to return. So in terms of the parents that brought their kids to school this morning, I must say our kids were looking really, really smart. The parents were happy. I think that in order for us to make a change in this community, we need a strong education system. And I think our parents also they would be in agreement with us that, yeah, that the kids must be at school.
Thank you very much. That was Ms. Shamicha Charity, the principal here at Lavana Primary School in Lavender Hill. And exactly that last point that you made about the parents being relieved. Some of the parents who I spoke to yesterday also said the exact same thing. They said that what their children have been lacking is that stability in coming to school every day, and also that discipline of waking up every morning and doing their work, because some children have been struggling without that. Others, again, a bit anxious about the still about COVID-19 and about those safety measures, but the education department and principals like Ms. Charity giving the assurance that they are still keeping up with those COVID-19 safety protocols as best as they can in those classrooms and on the school premises.
Yeah, we've had parents saying both, saying, you know, some saying they want their kids to go to school, some a little apprehensive and anxious about their kids going back to school on a full-time basis. So let's find out from Dace and Tatia what the parents and students are feeling like in Durban.
Well, Tafuma, we're here in Kwamashu at the eThekwini Primary School. So we had the opportunity to engage with both the pupils and the teachers this morning. Now, I'll also just tell you that this is one of the nicer schools that we've been to, especially one of the nicer public schools. So you can take a look at it behind me. It's a bit quiet now because all of those pupils are inside their classrooms, about 1,200 odd pupils at the school. But we did have an opportunity to pop our heads inside, and we see that although, like many public schools, there are many kids in each of the classrooms, between 30 and 50 possibly, there has been an attempt to try and space them out as much as they could to ensure that they are not sitting too close to each other, with some of the desks that are also rearranged. But the education department did use this school as the place to launch the return to a normal timetable. We had an opportunity to speak to the HOD for education earlier, and he was saying to us that there were only about 60% of schools that needed to get back into full swing. The other 40% had already started this program at the beginning of the year already, some of them even last year. So they were already used to the full-time timetable. It was just this remaining group that needed to get back onto track. The pupils that we spoke to, surprisingly, were quite happy about getting back to school. You know, there's a mixed bag of opinions when it comes to these kids. I mean, I've personally engaged with some kids who say that they had gotten used to the system, about 2 years of not being at school every day. But the ones that I spoke to here said to me that they missed their friends. Some of them were concerned about just how the education was being compromised. I mean, a grade 5 pupil here was telling me that he was worried that he would not be getting the full benefit of school if he didn't get back to school. So it's good to hear that they are happy and willing, and those measures that Monique spoke about also in place here. They are wearing masks in those classrooms, and they are also being sanitized. But Tafuma, you mentioned a lunchbox. I've eyed out a shady corner here at the school, and I think it's almost time for me to have my tea break.
All right, Dace and Tatia, you go ahead and tuck into that lunchbox. Dace and Tatia in Durban and Monique Mortlock in Cape Town. Thank you.